So welcome, Amy Jamison. Thank you so much for giving us your time today to have this conversation.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
So Amy, you had a near-death experience at the age of 23. Can you share with us what had happened?
Yes. Do you want a little background first or just go into it?
A little background would be great.
Okay. Well, I was raised a strict Irish Catholic, so I grew up and went to catechism through 10th grade. I always believed in angels, Jesus, Mother Mary, and the afterlife. The only problem I had was believing in the hell because I was taught, okay, Jesus died for everyone. So how could he say, well, I'm sorry, you're going to hell and you're in heaven? I believe there's different levels of heaven, and the people who have done some really bad things are on the different level where they have to progress up into a different area. I was married at the time of my near death experience. I was working as a dental assistant, and I had a very bad cough for a couple of weeks. With that cough, felt like a bad cold chest pain. One night after work, when I was driving home, my left arm felt really heavy. So I made it home and I did probably 6 loads of laundry with my spouse and yes, and clean the house and cook dinner. I smoked at the time, so I sat down on the couch to smoke a cigarette. And when I did, my chest felt extremely tight where I felt like I couldn't breathe very well. And it got to the point where I had to even quit smoking because I was barely breathing. So I asked my spouse, who didn't believe in medical or Jesus, would you please take me to the emergency room or call an ambulance? No, you're a hypochondriac. There's nothing wrong with you. You're fine. And it kept happening. And I kept saying, I'm having a hard time breathing. Please call me an ambulance. And he said, no, there's nothing wrong with you. So I got up and went to the phone and I picked it up and called the local hospital emergency room and spoke to the doctor on call. And he said, is anyone there with you? I said, yes, my spouse. So I said, well, okay, put him on the phone. Well, his eyes got really big and he slammed down the phone and then he said, let's go. I said, what did he say to you? He said he could tell from talking to you that you were very much struggling to breathe. And on account of that, if anything happened to you on the way there or when you get there, he would hold me responsible legally. And I went, oh, that's good. Okay, let's go. So we got there, they x-rayed me and it turned out to be I had walking pneumonia, pleurisy, which is fluid in the lung, and then my lung collapsed and that's why I could hardly breathe. So they needed to do an immediate chest tube where they cut you open and insert the chest tube in. So I was in the operating room, and right after they started putting the tube in, I blacked out. At first, I wasn't scared, but I just didn't know where I was and why I saw all black. So I'm looking around, and I look down towards my feet, and I see a tiny white light. Now, to explain this to you might sound a little weird, but this is how I envisioned it for me. I was like a miniature version of myself going through my body from my head to my toes. When I got about to the heart level, I saw probably a 6 or 7 foot dark person man who looked like he was dressed like a mummy. And he had his arms out. And as I traveled past him through that darkness, I went out on my feet. I steered around him and thought at the time that I missed him. Well, I went out on my feet. And when I looked down, once I got out of my feet, I was like in the clouds, maybe 5 to 10 feet off the ground. That's where I was. And I'm looking down and I see myself. I went, oh, I'm on that table. And then it looked like me. And then I look at myself and I went, oh, okay, I'm the same person. I'm just a vaporized, ghostly vision of that person to me. And so I could hear the nurses talking, oh, it's such a shame. She was so young. And the doctor does the time of death call. And he says, okay, time of death. And whatever that time of death was, that part I don't recall, but I do remember everything that was said. I saw my husband in the corner of the room and he was crying, not because he loved and missed me, but because he knew he was going to jail. Now, the best thing about that experience, for first of all, before I continue, is that once my soul or body, the me, went out of my physical body, there was no attachment to anger, hurt, trauma, drama, negativity, none of that. So when I saw my spouse, even though he's the one who let me die, I wasn't angry or upset. I was just totally on a calm, peaceful, blissful journey. In my opinion, that's how it was. So then I turn around, and when I turn around, I'm still in the clouds, but I'm looking at, to my left there are two angels a little girl of about 8 years old. She had long blonde hair. She was wearing a white robe and sandals, and she had wings on her back. And she was very pretty. And then over on her shoulder, there was a little baby angel, like in a diaper and little baby wings. And he was holding on to her robe and just laughing and flying around. I'm like, okay. I could only describe what I saw. It's like very strange to me too. But anyway, then I look to my right side and I see three relatives who were deceased. They probably passed in their late 70s or 80s, but I knew who they were and they looked like they were in their late 30s, early 40s to me. There was a golden light beyond them, which I was trying to get to or go towards, but that didn't happen because all of a sudden it was like someone whisked me right in front of Jesus. I saw the Jesus person that I knew growing up in the Catholic religion. He looked like that to me with the robe and the long brown hair and the beautiful blue eyes. He was speaking to me, but he wasn't moving his lips, and neither was I. So he said, you're not supposed to be here right now. It is not your time and you need to go back. So he raised his arm, and when he put his arm down, I was back in my body in the intensive care unit then, and I was blowing on the sheet. There was a sheet over my body, and there was a priest still right beside me because he had given me the last rites. And he pulled it down and he goes, "Oh, my child, this is a miracle. You're back. Can you tell me what happened?" I go, "Well, yes, but I don't really want to. I'm mad." He goes, "Well, why are you mad?" I said, "Because I didn't want to come back. It was so happy and peaceful there." And after that, for about the first 5 years, unfortunately, I had a negative entity or negative spirit attached to my soul. It would physically do things to me. At first, it attacked the husband I was with at that time, which was a different husband. And he would be sleeping and he would wake up during his sleep several different times during the night and say, "Quit pulling on my feet." And I go, "I am not pulling on your feet. You are having a dream or a nightmare or something. There's no one there." So he kept saying that, and I didn't believe him. I just thought, oh, he's just dreaming. So the next day, I decided I was going to take a nap in the bed. And when I took a nap, it was in the middle of the day, and he was way out on the property doing landscaping. So it was just me in there. All of a sudden, I felt very strong hands on my legs. It took both feet and crossed them over. And then it jerked me all the way off the bed from the top over the bottom of the bed. It was pretty scary. And then of course, I jump up and I'm looking all around, but I don't see anybody. So that was the start of it. Then it would run its hands up my leg. And the final part that it did was it was like over my body. At that point, when it was over my body, I could see, like, those figures they had in the movie Ghost, if you ever watched that with Demi Moore and Patrick
No,
Swayze. It's
no, I didn't
okay.
watch
Well,
the
that
movie.
there's like little black figures. They look like black floating ghosts that come take the people that did very wrong things and take them off to wherever they go. That's what I saw above my body, but I saw like sucking my air out, and I felt like my air was leaving. My husband was beside me in the bed, and he goes, "I see something over you." I go, "I see it too, and it's trying to get my air and get in my body. So let's pray and yell it away." And we did. And when we did that, it left. What I didn't know was at that time was that when there's a dark entity in your home, apartment, wherever that is, whoever's in the home at that time needs to be in there when you yell and pray it away, because it left me and it went to my daughter, who at that time had lived with us for a while. And it even took her up by the throat on the wall and trying to choke her. And she was kicking her feet, and her husband was right beside her. And finally it dropped her because he was pulling on her feet to bring her down. And she had to do the same thing with saging and blessing and yelling and praying it away to not come back. And it attaches to any kind of negative, hurtful, harmful thinking that you have. So that's what happened with the dark entity. Shortly after that, I had started seeing and feeling things that were going to occur, kind of like a movie trailer to me, where I would see the beginning, the middle, and the end, and the person that I would see in it. It was like a movie trailer to me. It was a very vivid vision. I would call vision because once my feet hit the floor, the dream didn't go away. So I called it a vision after that. They were like nightmares to me because bad things were happening that I saw in the future. They were going to happen in the near future. And they did, all of them. but it's like kidnapping, stabbings, just bad things to my niece and my sister. And I would tell them, but of course, they were all calling me crazy at that time because, oh, only God knows those things. You're just getting attention. You're just saying that. I said, no, I'm not. Where do you think I got it from? Do you think I want to see, really harmful, hurtful things happen to you and my niece and other people? I don't. But so I said, okay, it kept repeating every night over and over and over until I told the person that was in the vision what I saw. So then I gathered, okay, I'm a messenger. That's what I got out of it, because if I tell them, it's not my job to convince them, although I tried. But they were okay in the end. It happened just as I saw it, not as they experienced it, but just as I saw it. And then in the end, they were okay. So I've had over 44 years of that now, where I have had different events that I've seen in the future that have happened, but it's always mostly been my family, immediate family, or a couple of very close friends. Two people at a book writing event that I went to one time, I sat beside and I got things about them, asked them if they wanted to know, and they said yes. So I told them. As a result of that, I went to a college in Arizona in my early 60s where I graduated a program where I became a life coach, hypnotherapist, non denominational ordained minister, and I published a book about my near death experience. It's called Visions from Above: My Journey, My Destiny by Amy Jamison. Amy Jamison is my pen name because when you have a contract, if you don't disclose that someone threatens to sue you, which my sister did, even though I know she had no money and wasn't going to, but I had to say so. So there's no pictures of me and no names in the book, but I would say my older sister next to the oldest brother, whatever. It was the person I was talking about. And that's what I've been experiencing for the last 44 years.
What was your life like prior to your NDE?
For it was not a very good life, in my opinion, because my mother was married to a man I suspected from age 5 on that he was not my birth father, and he wasn't. It turned out later in years I found out. But he was alcoholic and very abusive, and they would physically fight each other every night. So it was like terrible growing up. And I still kept my faith. I went to the Catholic summer school. I went to the Catholic catechism classes. I went to church all the time. I prayed a lot. I did the best I could, but that was very difficult growing up that way. Now, when I had my near death experience, I went to different churches after that. I said, okay, I don't believe in hell, which is what the Catholics were saying. Oh, if you sin, you're going to hell. Well, I sinned. I did little sins, but they're still sins. And so I said, okay, I didn't go to a hell. But of course, I was only dead for 3 minutes. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. Some other people have longer times that they're, declared dead. I don't know. But I became very spiritual and very communicative. I was very shy growing up, and I would walk across the street 2 blocks over if I didn't have to go near a man because of things my stepfather did to me. So I got over that after a lot of therapy. But anyway, so my life growing up, I had 4 siblings beside myself, and they were into drugs and alcohol. I had my little share of tasting some of that stuff, but I didn't ever, thank God, become addicted. And it gave me more faith. And that was the great thing for me. I became more peaceful. I was never scared of death again. I was petrified of death before that experience. I did have another experience in church on earth that was, to me, even more remarkable. I call it the visiting minister in my book, because I rode by this church a few times during the week to work and back, and I didn't know what it was or how they worshiped or anything. And I was up partying on a Saturday night till 2 o'clock in the morning with my spouse, smoking and drinking. And so I went to bed at 2, somewhere around, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the morning or so. A loud voice and a very large hand that was strong pushed me out of the bed, just like a hand behind me, and pushed me out of the bed to the floor and said, get ready, get up. You need to go to the 8 o'clock mass at that church you've been passing by. And I'm like, who said that? I'm like, my husband was asleep in the bed. He wasn't even moving, so it wasn't him. And I didn't know, but it was such a strong feeling that I went, okay, I'm going to go. From my near death experience on, I hadn't been to church regularly because I didn't believe in the organized part of the religion anymore. I was more spiritual. So I still believed in God, Jesus, the angels, and Mother Mary, but I was just spiritual, not religious to that point. So I got dressed, I got ready, I went to the church. I kind of sat on the left side towards the front. They had a big screen in the front of the church. I didn't know what they were going to do, but somebody came out. I think it was youth leaders or something. He said, okay, we're going to start the service. Turn to your hymn books. I followed along. I was not accustomed to it, was all raising your hands and speaking up and praying out loud like that. So it was a new experience for me. But I did it and I felt okay doing it. And then we all sit down, and the minister comes out and he goes, well, this is the part of the sermon where I would normally give my little speech about what I'm talking about of the day. He goes, however, we have a visiting minister here from Dallas, Texas, and he has a message for someone. So he's going to come up and talk about it. So this man came up to the pulpit and he said, I'm looking around the church and I see someone here that I'm supposed to give a message to. I don't know the person, and I don't think they know me at all. But anyway, I get a message for her, pointing at me, the lady with the blonde hair and the blue flower dress. Of course, I had on a blue flower dress, and at that time I had long blonde hair. So I'm looking around, and then I go, me? He goes, yes, you. So I walked up and he goes, do you know me? I said, no, never seen you or heard of you in my life. Never been to this church before in my life. So I just knew I was told I had to come today, but I didn't know why. He goes, well, here's why. Your face was the face that I was shown by Jesus. I first saw his face in the airplane window on the way here. And he said to tell you this. He said, the kidnapping of your kids and the bad things you've been experiencing lately have been the work of the devil. Please keep your faith and know that everything is going to work out okay. Well, I didn't know anybody there, and I didn't know that man, and I didn't tell anybody at that church anything about me. So I knew that that had to be God that did that, because no, I'd never been there. So to me, that was as remarkable, if not even more remarkable, because it happened on earth, not in heaven. So yeah,
So
it
when
took a
did
long while to get used to it.
so when how long after your near-death experience did this take place?
Let's see, probably I was 23. So, oh gosh, 10 years or more before that one took place. It wasn't like right away. So I didn't expect anything. Like I said, I was being human and I was smoking and partying and drinking and all those things that I shouldn't have been doing,
Hmm.
being raised Catholic. But we do stuff that we regret later. So, it was a learning lesson, I'll say.
And then after this experience, did you stop all that? Did you change your life completely?
I did. I
Okay.
certainly did. Yes. And it really made me a better person. And I started meeting people from all over the world where I was at and traveling, where I would come across people who would say, well, I had a weird experience, but I don't know if you're going to believe it or you want to talk about it. I go, yes, I do. And they would tell me, I don't know how they knew to tell me when they were talking to me. They said I had this kind of experience and this is what happened. I go, well, so did I. So, what I have come to gather and believe now after all this time is simply this: whether you're a different nationality, black, white, Spanish, whatever, however you are raised to believe of heaven when you're growing up, who your creator is, it is all one and the same person. But because we are all so very different and we follow different religions, because that's the way Jesus reaches us, it's the same person, and we're seeing our version of how we were taught. Let's say even you're atheist and you don't believe, well, then he's going to appear to you like, oh, I'm a star in the universe. I'm just guessing. I don't know that part. Or, I'm an alien. Now, the person that I was married to when my lung collapsed, he believed that the superpowers were aliens. I go, for many years, I called him crazy. But after that, I started saying, well, Jesus is a superpower. He was talking to me and not moving his lips, and he was sending me back to my body. So he had to be a superpower, like they said. Is he an alien? I don't know. I mean, that maybe that's the way he associated with my spouse. I don't have any idea, but I mean, that's what I believe now. That's my personal beliefs on that, is that he will connect with you. Just like, where's your heaven? I believe that your heaven's going to be wherever you love to be in your mind when your mind is stressed. Let's say it's a garden, a river, fishing, whatever. That's your happy place. When you go to heaven, that's where you're going to be, in your happy place, because you're familiar with that.
Is there hell or is it just heaven?
I don't know if there's a hell. Like I said, I sinned and I didn't ever see or go to a hell during that time span. But over my years, I did meet two people, and they were both in, I'll say, the Los Angeles cult group of Bloods or whatever they were called, those gangs. And the one girl said, I need to talk to you. You talked about a dark entity, and I need to tell you what happened. I go, okay. She goes, I did some really, really bad stuff. I go, you don't have to say, but are you saying you killed somebody? She goes, yes. I've changed since then, but yes, I did. She goes, Jesus grabbed a hold of me in my vision dream one night, and he took me on a fast train sitting beside me, and he held me by my feet and shoved me head first down in the hill. Well, that's all I knew. I mean, I heard of a hell growing up, but I just couldn't believe in it because Jesus died for everybody. So everybody's going to go to heaven, just on a different level, I think. So I believe what she said because she was petrified when she was talking about it. So I'm like, okay, I believe that he did that. So maybe for some people there is a hell of, per se. I don't know. My personal belief is our free will choices that we make create our own hell right here on earth. Hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, that's our personal hell. That's just my belief. I don't know, but that's what I feel.
Now you mentioned dark entity. So was
Yes.
that entity living in that home, or like how was it attracted like to you and your family?
I believe at that time it was living in the home because I was having difficulty in my marriage and I was thinking very negative and getting very angry. So like I was taught later in life at my college when I went in my early 60s. It was a mind, body, spirit, holistic college, very accredited, but still that's how it presented itself to me when I went. I loved it. But, they would say that any negativity, trauma, drama, hurt, and pain, that's what a negative spirit attaches to you as. Also, it could be a loved one who has different personality traits. Let's say you didn't ever smoke pot, and then you had an aunt who did, and she passed, and you say, I'm going to always hold you right here in my heart because I love you and I'm going to miss you so bad. I had a client that happened with, and she said, I never smoked pot in my life, and all of a sudden I'm smoking pot, and I don't know where that's coming to. I'm acting different, and my family's telling me I'm acting different. I go, you have a spirit attached to your soul, and sure enough, she did. And we worked through the hypnotherapy session because I'm a hypnotherapist too, and got released and got rid of. It was her aunt's spirit. She was taking on her aunt's spirit's traits. So simply, you just have to envision in your mind that you're taking them on a journey to heaven, however you want to do it, on a cloud. Jesus comes to meet them, whatever you want to envision in your mind, and you take them there. Because sometimes they don't know if they're doing things they shouldn't be doing and they don't normally go to church or believe, then they're not even going to know where heaven is. So they're going to stay attached to somebody who is good, somebody who has those faiths. So because they're scared to death as a soul, where are they going to go? They don't want to go to a hell, so they're going to do everything they can not to get there. That's just, again, my thoughts, but that's what I believe.
What happens after death?
Well, what happened to me was my soul, myself, I'll say it's the person in me, the vaporized looking person of me. To me, that's what they're talking about when they say they see ghosts. It's spirits of other people. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And I just, no attachment to any pain, trauma, drama, negativity, or hurt. No attachment to anger. You're just so blissfully happy. You love everyone and everything, and you see everyone and everything, and that's how you feel. And I didn't get to stay there very long, like 3 minutes. So I only got to see the two angels and the relatives and Jesus, which was still amazing to me. Um, but that's how I felt. I didn't want to come back. There's no fear or anything.
Do we plan our lives before we come into our body?
You know, um, I do believe that. I believe in reincarnation, which is coming back as a soul into a different person or thing, an animal, whatever. There have been several cases recently of little boys and different people at certain ages where they were a veteran in World War II. they could take you right back to the spot with your parents and say, I was right here. This is who I was. This is what happened. And other people like that, that they do and say different things, that they have the memory of it, an imprint, I guess I would call it. But I don't know. It didn't happen to me that I could say, yeah, that happened to me. But I believe it because growing up, I was very intuitive, and I had very deja vus where I think I've been to these places before. Maybe not as this person, but I've been here and I could describe things that I couldn't describe before. So I believe, yes, that that's possible, or that it is real. I also believe that trauma, drama, hurt, pain, and negativity, they block your intuition. I am no better than no one else, and no one else is better than me, save Jesus himself. But I believe that those things will block you from connecting with your own intuition, your gut feeling in your stomach. If you always follow that gut feeling, you're not going to go wrong, even if you don't like it, even if you don't agree with it.
You went through like a lot of horrible stuff growing up, from being a
Exactly.
child to, all the
Oh,
way.
yes.
Why would we pick that? Like, as a soul, why would we want to experience that?
I can't explain any of that, but I can say because I felt it and I was taught it in the college I went to, was that and I met people who said, I've been here before, is this, and this. I'm on my fifth, sixth, whatever lifespan time. I'm like, well, I don't even know that where I'm at on that plane. I have no idea. But I think that we choose it before we come into the body. I think that we're, because you know how some babies look like they're older souls, I'll call them. They're so smart, they're so advanced. It's like, okay, that's amazing. It's incredible, like a genius child. But more and more of them now lately are doing that, where they're so advanced when they're born, and the things they do so early. I just believe it's true. I've talked to other people who have said the same thing. Can I prove it? No, I can't prove it. I can prove my near death experience because I have pictures of my niece when she was stabbed, and I saw that, the fire my sister had, and I saw that. I'm just saying, I can prove that part of it. And they'll tell you, oh, yeah, she saw it, but she's crazy. Because my sister would call me up and say, it happened, not exactly like you said, but it happened like you said it was going to. But you're still crazy. I go, okay. Before my near death experience happened to me, I said, all psychics, mediums, card readers, whatever, they're all nuts because I was raised Catholic. They're of the devil or whatever. Then it happened to me, and I'm like, oh no, now I see. There's still some that use it to their advantage for their own narcissistic control of what they do, and that's not good. But if the person says to you, we're the same, I'm no better than you, you're no better than me, and does it out of love and caring for you, then okay. But if they're trying to control you and use other means with what they do, that's not okay. That's just my belief too.
What is the difference between spirituality and religion?
Okay, I didn't for the longest time know what that meant until I had my near death experience. Religion, in my opinion, everybody has a different religion, and that is because we're all different. I fully believe that Jesus invented all those different religions through the people he was talking to, or himself. I don't know that part. But it's to reach everyone, so that you don't go to this church, you go to this one. Okay, everybody goes. What about the atheist? Well, they go, they believe in the universe and they believe in aliens, so he's going to present that way to them. That's what I believe religion is. I also think that religion, um, over the years, has added to the stuff that was written in the Bible. The Bible was written by man, so you got to remember we're all human. Not to blame them, but you're going to throw your own 2 cents in there somewhere. And who can speak like Jesus on the things they say in the Bible, like thee and thou? I'm like, I'm the minister. I'm the verbal minister who's talking one-on-one to you like a normal human being. I don't have any quotes in there. The book I wrote has no quotes in there. And believe me, I was attacked by a minister verbally and physically at a event because I had no quotes in my book, but he didn't even read my book. He just heard about it. So
What has been the most important life lesson you have learned in this life?
I'm learning that all the mistakes and choices that you made are not really mistakes. They should be called learning lessons. Number one, your parents raised you a certain way. They only raise you the way they know how to do, whether it's physical abuse, verbal abuse, sexual abuse, whatever. It happened to them too. So you have to learn how to forgive and go down the line. Forgive mom and dad, their parents, their parents, their parents, until you have a positive role model that can show you what a normal life is on a regular basis. Then you're just repeating the pattern subconsciously. You're attracted to the same environment where you grew up until you work on yourself and improve yourself by letting go of the hurt, trauma, drama, and pain. So I am also a positive card reader, and you don't tell me what the question is, you hold it in your mind. And I'm used like a tool from the angels. They connect with me when I went to heaven, where I'll feel a high vibration when I touch a certain card, and I know what it is when I turn it over, just like you do, but I don't know the question. So you're getting the answer from heaven, not me. I'm just the tool, the messenger that they use. So that's what I call myself, as a messenger. I also do hypnotherapy. I'm doing introductory hypnotherapy, and I use my intuition, my spiritual coaching, and life coaching skills to bring up your life purpose is my specialty. So I'm charging 50 an hour to do that. Normally it's 100. So I'm just doing introductory for watching your show. Okay.
And where can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Perfect. My email is all lowercase letters, LeeCherie66 That is my given name, spelled backwards. And you can text me on 602-727-9797. I'm in Texas, but that's an old Arizona phone number that I kept.
So you do in person and over the phone and online, or?
I do. Most of the ones I do, all the card readings are over the phone. I've done some in person, depending on where the person is that wants the help. I also do it through WhatsApp app or Zoom. Rarely Zoom, because I just haven't learned on my part yet.
What's the definition of God to you?
That's a hard one, because let me say this. So when I was in Catholic catechism classes and going to summer school with the Catholic religion, that was the hardest thing for me to learn before my near death experience. How can you be three people in one? How can you be God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit? What does that even mean? Well, it wasn't until my near death experience that I realized the Holy Spirit is your soul. Jesus is the Son of God, of course. God, I didn't meet, other people have, because I believe that was that golden light that I would have went to if Jesus would have allowed me to stay. So I can't say, well, hey, I saw God. Is Jesus God? Well, here's how I believe that means now to me. In my opinion, I believe that when he say he's three in one, he's the same person. Jesus and God are the same person, and the Holy Spirit is the same person. Three in one, right? I mean, that's just the way I look at it now still, because I haven't personally met God or seen God. I've seen Jesus and angels, but I haven't seen God. So I can't really say, oh, he's a different person. I'm just going to have to rely on what I was taught as far as three in one. The Holy Spirit part was the one that got me as much as the God part did when he said, I'm born of my father and I'm the son. I'm like, it's like the Adam and Eve story. It's like, okay, you took a rib out of Adam and now here's Eve. And I'm like, it sounds so far fetched. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and a lot of people will say that about near death experiences. Well, those are just visions in your mind. Well, in my mind or wherever it was, it happened. And I have such detail of it still. And I'm 71. So, you know, I'm never going to forget it. So wherever it happened, it was real.
Um, so if someone is going through pain and suffering, what advice or message would you want to give to them?
Okay. Well, I like to help them learn how to deal with that. And you can deal with that in many different ways. I can life coach them, where I ask them direct certain questions where I pull it out of them. But if they don't want to try a life coach, the word bothers them, or they're too afraid to do anything, I'll tell them, okay, there's several methods we can do to release those things that you're carrying around with you. Write it on a piece of paper, everything that you went through that was hurtful and harmful to you, even the person's name. Give it to them, let them read it. But before you do, you have to do it out of love, which means you have to say, okay, mom, I love you very much and I forgive you. Forgiveness means you take that situation and you throw it back at that person verbally. Okay, I'm not carrying that anymore. That's yours to carry. That's forgiveness. Okay. You're carrying it around with you. It was never mine to carry. It was done to me. You did it, or he did it, or whoever did it. Write the letter, hand it to them, read it to them, mail it to them if they're in heaven already. Write it down on a letter, tear it up in tiny pieces and throw it away. Go outside and burn it in a burn barrel or a metal coffee can, burn it. Do balloon release, write it on helium balloons, clear balloons, and just put all the hurtful words and things that happen, rape, fire, whatever it is, all those things. Go outside, do a balloon release and a celebration afterwards. That's my recommendation because people can relate to that. When you say forgive somebody, well, you're not supposed to forget. It just means you're giving them back what it was that was done to you so that you don't carry it through your life. Because if you do, you're going to remain in the present or past, have no future. So you want to move forward.
And do we carry that on? What does after we die? Like when we go into, like when we leave the body, we just finish it all here?
I have heard different people in their near death experiences saying, yes, I had the life review and this happened, that happened. I don't know that part because I was only there 3 minutes. So I can only say what I experienced. I never went to a hell. Don't know why. I had to come back. Well, I know why now because this is what I do and it's my passion. I help people and I talk to people and I do the life coaching and the hypnotherapy and the releasing of all the hurt, trauma, drama, and pain. Besides that, the other most important part is the hardest. You have to imagine we all have a tiny string attached to our heads in your mind. And you imagine you have scissors in your hand. Anybody in your happy circle, whether it's your parents, your family, your siblings, whoever, imagine you reach up and cut that cord where you're not attached to them anymore. It doesn't mean you don't love them. It means, okay, I love you, but I'm trying to become positive and happy, not negative. You're negative. You gossip all the time or you say hurtful things to me. I have to love you from a distance. Even I moved away out of state in order to do that. And I had to teach them on the phone. When you call me, you cannot say, F you, you're our mother's problem, or whatever it is in your mind that you're going to yell at me about or cuss me out for. Until you can talk to me respectfully, I'm hanging the phone up. And I do it every time. It took 6 months, but it worked. And now they come to me for advice.
So before your family was calling you crazy, now they're all coming to you for advice themselves. So how long did it
Yes.
take them to change? Like you said, 6 months it took them?
It's 6 months to treat me nicely on the phone.
Okay.
Now, to believe what I was saying, 2008. So let's see, from 1976 till 2008, I believe it was somewhere in there where Hurricane Ike hit. Because I'm from Galveston, so it hit Galveston, Texas, and my family is all there. So that long, from
Wow.
1976 to 2008, before my brother saw his best friend's spirit in his garage. And he
Wow.
called me up and told me, "Oh, sister, I can't call you crazy anymore because I said you saw your friend's spirit, didn't you?" He goes, "Yes." I go, "Okay."
Wow.
But until then, people are all going to say, "Oh, well, that person's crazy. That couldn't have happened, and that doesn't happen." That's okay. They don't know any better. I'm not going to blame them or think bad of them or judge them in a bad way because they haven't had the experience. They don't know. I used to be that person, so I'm going to be nice about it. If they want to say mean things to me, well, they can, but then I won't be around them very long. If they
You have
do, I
to
will pray.
you have to protect yourself as well, right? Like you can't
Right.
be
You have
around
to
them.
have at least one person in your environment, meaning your circle of friends or loved ones, that is positive, happy, and not a hurtful person. If you don't, you need to go find one and start all over. Love those from a distance and don't associate with them in person because they're going to drag you down. They want you to experience what they're experiencing and they don't want you to be happy because they're not happy. So they're going to try to get you to be on their thinking. So you don't want to do that.
So we've been programmed to be negative, like just all our programming. It's like you turn on the channel, it's all negative. Having conversations with people, it's all negative. It's like just so much negativity everywhere.
Well, like I'm saying, so it's drastic measures. It's difficult to do. It's not easy because you have to do it the rest of your life. So I don't watch the news every day. I maybe watch it 2 or 3 times a week, briefly, with my person I work with, because I'm a care provider for the elderly. She watches it, and then we'll turn it off after we hear something bad. Even she says, I can't watch this anymore, I'm going to get angry. I go, good, let's turn it off and don't watch it at all. Why don't they put happy news on the TV? I don't know. I guess happy news isn't as prosperous as the negative news. I don't know. You just have to know and believe that there's a creator. Whoever he is to you, he's the creator. He did die for us. He will save you and help you. You have to pray regularly for that. And you have to separate yourself from the negative, hurtful people and situations. Let's say you're addicted to drugs or you're addicted to alcohol. Well, you have to be ready and okay to stop that addiction, because until you do, you're having all the negative hurt, trauma, drama, and pain. And that's probably why you started to start with. And so those letters, those burning, bloom release, talking about it, doing hypnotherapy with it, all those negative things are stored in our subconscious mind, which I call the box of knowledge. Okay, the box of knowledge. You were taught that. You pretty much have to retrain your brain all the way over again and change your thoughts. And that's hard to do. That took me several years.
Any final message before we end the session?
Yes, just know that everyone has a life purpose. I don't care if you're addicted to drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is, or you're doing bad things. You're a good person deep down. Deep down, you have Jesus in your soul. You need to know that. I don't care how many people told you you're a horrible person. You have Jesus in your soul. So if you remember that and go forward, and you need help getting out of that, well, give me a call, text me or send me an email or something, and leave your phone number so that I can contact you, because I can help you.
All right. Thank you so much.